Hello there you guys, welcome to one of my videos. Yesterday night Manchester United drew 1-1 with Burnley at Turf Moor. Manchester United have dropped out of the top 4. Paul Pogba scored for Manchester United. It was Paul Pogba's first goal of the season, and it was his first Premier League appearance since October. Put a good performance out, to be fair. Pogba played in the cup game against Middlesbrough, and he played well in that one. Don't forget, Pogba won the penalty in normal time in the cup game against Middlesbrough. At one point, Pogba was out with injury for a while. Pogba's injury prone because he's had a few injuries since he re-signed for the club. It's very likely that Pogba will depart Manchester United in the summer. Pogba's out of contract at Manchester United in the summer. But earlier on this season, it said Pogba is willing to stay at Man United as long as Ralf Rangnick is the manager for next season. It mentioned that Pogba's been impressed by Ralf Rangnick since his arrival, and he would be open to signing a new contract. A couple of months ago, the Sun said that Manchester United offered Pogba a new £500,000 a week contract that would have made him the highest paid player in Premier League history, but Pogba actually denied being offered that contract. This season has been his 6th season at Man United since he re-signed. He's played over 200 games, he's won 3 trophies at the club so far, and Manchester United paid £89 million for him, so reflecting on that, he's our most expensive signing at the moment. Luke Shaw got the assist for Paul Pogba's goal. I thought Luke Shaw was very good yesterday night in that first half. Luke Shaw also played in the cup game against Middlesbrough. So Shaw's obviously played the last 2 games because Alex Telles hasn't been available. Telles has got COVID. But Manchester United were dominant in the first half. Manchester United had 2 goals disallowed in the first half. Rafael Varane's goal was disallowed for offside by VAR. Harry Maguire was the culprit for Varane's disallowed goal. So unfortunately, Varane was denied his first goal for the club. Varane had a good game. Defensively, he was good and he brought the ball out well from the back. Varane's done very well since he come back from that hamstring injury. Varane's endured 2 injuries since he signed for the club. You know, the first injury he got was a groin injury, and then obviously after that he got a hamstring injury. Most of the time when Varane plays, he seems to make the difference. Well, Varane is regarded as one of the best centre-halves in the world. He's highly experienced and he's got a good pedigree behind him because look at the amount of silverware he won when he was at Real Madrid. Manchester United signed Varane last summer. We got him for 41 million with add-ons included. He's got a contract with Man United until 2025. There's an option of a further year. Josh Brownhill's own goal got disallowed because in the build-up, Paul Pogba committed a foul. I think it was on Ben Mee. But the Josh Brown own goal came from Marcus Rashford's cross. Burnley's equaliser came from J. Rodriguez. That was his first goal in 50 league games. Harry Maguire was to blame for the equaliser from J. Rodriguez. And like I mentioned already, he was to blame for Varane's goal being disallowed. So you can say that Maguire and VAR cost us that game. It was Wout Weghorst who got the assist for the J. Rodriguez goal. Burnley signed Wout Weghorst last month. They got him from Wolfsburg. Burnley paid £12 million and Weghorst signed a 3.5-year deal. Weghorst obviously was the replacement for Chris Wood because Chris Wood left Burnley last month to join Newcastle. Weghorst had a very good chance in that second half. Produced a very good save from David De Gea. Marcus Rashford, he had an early chance in the game, produced a good save from Nick Pope. I thought Rashford played well. Rashford is in form at the moment. I thought Rashford did well in the cup game against Middlesbrough. He had some chances in that one. He also had a disallowed goal against Middlesbrough. Before the international break, Rashford scored the winner against West Ham. He came off the bench. The goal came in the 93rd minute of stoppage time. Rashford also came off the bench and scored in the 3-1 win against Brentford. Reflecting on that ended his 3-month goal drought. Rashford was out of form for a long time. And obviously a lot of United fans, including me, said that Rashford, wasn't the same player since he had that operation on his shoulder. Rashford missed the first 2 months of the season with that shoulder problem. He had a minor leg injury earlier on this season. Earlier on this season, it said Marcus Rashford was preparing to open contract talks with Manchester United. Rashford's contract at Man United expires next year. He receives £200,000 a week at the moment. PSG have been in for him, and earlier on this season Barcelona went in for him. He's been part of the club for a long time, Rashford. He joined Man United's academy at the age of 7 and he broke into our senior squad back in 2016, and since then he's gone on to make nearly 300 appearances in all competitions. Edison Cavani, he also had a good chance in the game from close range, produced a decent save from Nick Pope. I think he had another chance as well in the game, did Cavani. But apart from that, Cavani, you've got to say, was anonymous. Cavani obviously missed the game against Middlesbrough in the cup. Cavani's had a few injuries this season. I'm expecting Cavani to leave Manchester United in the summer. Where we revert back to earlier on this season, Ralph Rangnick did reveal that Edinson Cavani wants to stay at Manchester United until the end of the season. Cavani's out of contract at Man United in the summer. Earlier on this season, it said River Plate are considering a transfer for Cavani in the summer to replace Julian Alvarez. Last year, it said that Cavani agreed to join Barcelona on an 18-month contract, and Juventus and Boca Juniors went in for him last year, but Cavani rejected a move to Boca Juniors. Don't forget, Man United got Cavani on a free transfer from PSG back in the summer of 2020. Jaden Sancho, I was very impressed with him again yesterday against Burnley. He kept the ball well, he got in some good positions, and every time he had the ball, he looked dangerous. You know, Sancho's starting to come very, very good now. Sancho also played very well in the cup game against Middlesbrough. He scored in the cup game against Middlesbrough. That was his first Old Trafford goal. And it was his FA Cup debut. Should have had more than one goal against Middlesbrough because he had that chance when he hit the crossbar in the first 90 seconds. The other games Sancho's played well in of what I've seen. I thought he played well in the game at Old Trafford against Burnley in the final game of last year, but unfortunately he was denied a goal in that game. He played well in the games against Chelsea and Villarreal away because he scored in both of them games. He played very well in the first half against Crystal Palace last year. Obviously Sancho didn't settle in straight away, but not every player does, you know, it does take some players time. You know, he still hasn't done well, as a lot of United fans expected, but hopefully, you know, he will turn into a world-class player at United. Revert back to when we had Solskjaer, we couldn't get the best out of Sancho, because obviously Solskjaer persistently played him out of position, and there was quite a few games he didn't even play in under Solskjaer. Man United signed Sancho last summer for 78 million with add-ons included. You know, Man United paid 73 million up front. He's got a contract with Man United until June 2026. There's an option of a further year. Bruno Fernandez, he played very well yesterday night. He's now back to his best form. Don't forget, the Varane disallowed goal came from a Fernandez free kick. It was a good delivery from Bruno Fernandez. I thought in the game as well, Fernandez, his passing was very good. His vision was good. He got into good positions. Fernandez was unlucky not to score against Middlesbrough in the cup because he had chances in that game. The best chance he had against Middlesbrough is when he hit the post. I don't know how he didn't score that. And he got the assist for the Sancho goal against Middlesbrough. I also thought Fernandez was very good in the games against Brentford and Aston Villa away in the league earlier on this season, because against Brentford he provided 2 assists and against Villa he scored both of Manchester United's goals. He's one of our best players, is Bruno Fernandez, and he's certainly one of the best signings we've made since Ferguson retired. Revert back to earlier on this season, Fernandez rejected a new contract offer from Man United. He said Bruno Fernandez contract talks are postponed until the summer, having turned down an offer last year. It said Fernandez was demanding similar money to the top earners at the club. Fernandez receives £100,000 a week at the moment. He's got a contract with Man United till 2025. There's an option of a further 12 months. But yeah, he's been a Manchester United player for 2 years. Man United signed him from Sporting Lisbon back in January 2020. Ronaldo, he didn't start the game yesterday against Burnley. I was shocked in that aspect because I expected him to start. Ronaldo, though, did come on in the game. I think he did have a good headed chance. Diego Dalot, got to give a shout out to him. You know, I thought he played very well yesterday. Dalot's been very impressive under Ralph Rangnick. He's our first choice right back under Rangnick. Do you think Dalot could leave the club in the summer? Well, he's been subjected to transfer speculation before. Last season, Dalot had a loan spell with AC Milan. Reflecting on that, he gained some experience. Man United signed Dalot from Porto a few years ago, brought him in under the Jose Mourinho era. Man United paid 19 million for him. His contract at the club expires next year. And De Gea didn't have much to do really, did he, yesterday? He made some good punches away, and he made that fantastic save to deny Weghorst in the second half. Not so long ago, De Gea got named the Premier League's Player of the Month for January. De Gea became the first goalkeeper to win the award in 6 years. What a season De Gea is enjoying. He is now back to his best. The substitutes Man United brought on yesterday, Lingard came on, Anthony Elanga came on. Don't forget Elanga missed a decisive penalty against Middlesbrough, and reflecting on that, he got racially abused. And like I mentioned, we brought Cristiano Ronaldo on. But yeah, not good enough a draw. We had to win that game. These some United fans that have now written off the top 4. Burnley, they had some players out. Obviously they had no Charlie Taylor because he's got a foot injury. Goodmanson was out with injury, and they had Match Vidra out with hernia. Burnley remain bottom of the Premier League. The last time Manchester United lost at Turf Moor, like I mentioned on the preview, was back in 2009. The only goal of that game came from Robbie Blake. It was 1-0 to Burnley. Manchester United won the fixture at Turf Moor last season, 1-0. Man United have only got some players out, not many. Like I mentioned, Tellez was out due to COVID. Eric Bailly, he's injured. He's injury prone, which is a concern. Good centre-half Bailly, but doesn't really get in the team. There was no Fred, of course, because he recently tested positive for COVID. Fred's not good enough to represent the club anyway. Chong, he's got an injury, and Victor Lindelof's missed the last few games due to personal reasons. Revert back to Burnley. If they get relegated this season, I think there's a very good chance that Burnley will sack Sean Dyche. Sean Dyche has been Burnley manager for around a decade, so reflecting on that, he's been a very long-serving manager. Burnley appointed him in back in 2012. He's got a contract with Burnley till 2025. Before Burnley, he managed Watford. Manchester United's next game is Southampton. That is this Saturday. The preview will be coming up for that later on today. Prior to the game against Burnley, Rangnick did say in the second part of his press conference that the club are improving on the pitch despite the shock FA Cup defeat to Middlesbrough. And he mentioned that if Man United have not won a title in the last 10 years, there are some good reasons for that. Rangnick is Manchester United's interim manager until the end of the season. Then Rangnick is expected to take up a consultancy role for a further 2 years. Rangnick's been Manchester United's interim manager for around 2 months. He's now managed 12 games in all competitions. Rangnick won't get the Man United job on a permanent basis, but there again, revert back to earlier on this season, like a lot of United fans updated you. He said that Man United had put their search for a new manager on hold after being impressed by Ralph Rangnick since he took charge in December, and it said at that point Man United were considering offering the job on a permanent basis. Rangnick has enjoyed one transfer window as Manchester United's interim manager. And it was a very disappointing January transfer window. Manchester United did not make one signing last month, and Manchester United wanted to sign a midfielder because when Rangnick first came in, he identified Manchester United's midfield as a weakness. We also had the incident with Mason Greenwood towards the end of last month. We should have let Lingard and Henderson leave last month, but Manchester United blocked their exits. We did loan quite a few players out though last month. We loaned Donny van de Beek out to Everton. We loaned Martial out to Sevilla. We loaned Amad Diallo out to Rangers. We loaned Ethan Laird out. We loaned Tuanzebe out to Napoli, and we loaned Tiedemann Mengi out to Birmingham. We let around 8 players leave last month. In the summer, I'm expecting Manchester United to make signings, but on the other side of things, I'm expecting a lot of players to depart the club in the summer. Before Man United, Rangnick was the head of sports and development at Lokomotiv Moscow. To Rangnick's credit though, he has made changes since he's come in. Because earlier on this season, he recommended Ewan Sharping as an assistant coach and analyst. He also recommended Chris Armisen as an assistant coach, and he recommended Sascha Lenzin as a sports psychologist. I think there's a chance that Erik ten Hag will be Manchester United's next permanent manager, because prior to the Burnley game, it said a Dutch reporter claims that Erik ten Hag will leave Ajax at the end of the season following the departure of Mark Overmars. Erik ten Hag was upset about it. And earlier on this season, Rangnick said that he wanted Erik ten Hag to become Manchester United's new manager in the summer. And these Man United fans that want Erik ten Hag to take the Old Trafford job instead of Mauricio Pochettino. If Erik ten Hag came to manage in the Premier League, he'd replicate what he's done at Ajax. You've got to admire the work he's done at Ajax. He's developed the young players well. He's won a couple of titles with them. Revert back to 2019, he got Ajax to the Champions League semi-finals. So there you go, and he's been Ajax manager for over 4 years. Ajax appointed him in back in 2017. His contract at Ajax expires next year. Ajax is the 4th club he's managing in his managerial career. Before Ajax, he managed Utrecht, Bayern Munich's reserves, and before then managed Go Ahead Eagles. There's been a lot of rumours though as well about Mauricio Pochettino becoming Man United's new permanent manager. Well, Pochettino's been relentlessly linked with the permanent role at Man United. Said not so long ago that Manchester United consider swapping Cristiano Ronaldo for PSG boss Mauricio Pochettino. Pochettino's reportedly told his friends he will be leaving PSG in the summer, and the other week reports from France said that Pochettino could be sacked by March. He said Pochettino's job hinges on PSG getting to the next round of the Champions League. PSG play Real Madrid in the last 16 of the Champions League. Pochettino has been PSG manager for over a year. I think he's won a French Cup with them. His contract at PSG expires next year. PSG are trying to get Zidane to replace Pochettino. He's a good manager, Pochettino, even though he's hardly won anything. I think if he became Man United's next manager, he would do well. He'd suit the strappings of the club and he'd get the best out of these group of players. Plus, he knows the Premier League well because he's managed in the Premier League before. Because before he endured 5.5 years at Tottenham. In 2018, he got Tottenham to their first ever Champions League final. At one point, he almost won the league when he was Tottenham manager. And before Tottenham managed Southampton, he got Southampton to their highest ever finish in the Premier League. But he only enjoyed a short managerial tenure with them, so they're the clubs he's managed in the Premier League so far, and before Southampton he managed Espanyol. Revert back to when Manchester United sacked Jose Mourinho. Man United should have got Pochettino then, but the club decided to go with Solskjaer instead. Like I've said so many times, Man United are looking for the 5th permanent manager since Ferguson retired. Because Man United have sacked 4 permanent managers since Ferguson retired. We sacked David Moyes, Louis van Gaal, Jose Mourinho, and last year Manchester United sacked Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Manchester United have spent over 1.3 billion in 10 years. and Man United have only won 4 trophies in 10 years. Man United have recouped around 397 million in sales, but we've wasted around 909 million in the transfer market. Manchester United have not won a trophy for 5 years. The only chance Man United have got of winning the trophy this season is the Champions League, and I'm very, very sceptical we're going to win that. We haven't won the Premier League since 2013. So yeah. But Manchester United have not been the same team since Ferguson retired. And no one's going to replicate what Ferguson did. You know, Ferguson, greatest manager of all time. Alex Ferguson won 30 odd trophies at Man United, including 13 Premier League titles. So reflecting on that, he brought success to the club, but Ferguson didn't settle in straight away because he didn't win out in his first 4 years at Man United. Alex Ferguson was Manchester United manager for around 26 years, so reflecting on that, he was a long-serving manager. He retired 9 years ago, didn't he, Alex Ferguson? But a lot of United fans predicted it was all going to go wrong when he retired. But Man United have been in a transition period now for a long time. And obviously, you know, the news regarding Mason Greenwood. Mason Greenwood was recently dropped by Nike after rape allegation. Greenwood is banned from England and Man United, so obviously he can't train or play any matches. The other week, Greenwood was released on bail after his arrest. You know, Greenwood's been arrested twice on suspicion of sexual assault, making threats to kill, rape and assault. So now guys, on my next video I'll be giving you my player ratings from this game. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless. See you all again very, very soon.